life, the bright lights, the type the crowd likes. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Cavaliers at 76ers. NBA shot clock on this Friday, February the 23rd. A top lean in the early national game. Cleveland minus 3.5. Let's discuss. Cleveland comes in here on a home road back-to-back off an insulting 116-109 loss last night at home against Orlando. Surprisingly, that's right where you want this team. Cleveland is 4-0 ATS on the second leg of a back-to-back if being played on the road. And they are 14-5 ATS on the road, last 19. That's a big enough sample. That is sustainable. Speaking of sustainable, Philadelphia without Joel Embiid in the lineup is 0-6 last 6 ATS, not appearing to come north anytime soon, particularly given the motivation of tonight's game. On February 12th, Philadelphia without Embiid did go into Cleveland, a scorching hot Cleveland on that night, on a dub 9 and beat them outright 123-121 as a +9 underdog. Cleveland will remember that. They laid down, no Embiid. They're not going to do it again. This line suggests Cleveland to win by double digits. Buy this tonight at minus 3.5, a top lean, and let's cash this ticket.
Raptors at Hawks. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 23rd with another free pick. We're rocking with the Hawks at home minus 6.5. Against the Raptors team that's in a really tough spot. They did cash for us last night. We had the Raptors -2 against Brooklyn. Now they travel to Atlanta to face a Hawks team that really ended their pre-All-Star portion of their calendar on the worst possible way. Lost by 10 at home, then go to Charlotte last Wednesday and get beat down by 23. They now find themselves in 10th spot in the Eastern Conference. 3 games ahead of the Brooklyn Nets, 4.5 games against these same Raptors, who they played tonight, 1.5 games behind the Bulls, who are in 9th. Now, before the season, the Hawks would have expected to be looking down at the Bulls, looking down at the Raptors, and looking down at the Nets in the standings. The fact that they're swimming in that pool shows you how disappointing their season has been. If the Hawks, are really going to get into the playoffs, they need to play a home game in the play-in tournament. They're not going to finish 6th. They're going to be in the play-in tournament unless they go on an incredible run. I do expect them to start off on the right foot here tonight against a Raptors team who is minus 9.7 in back-to-backs, meaning they lose by an average of 9.7 points per game. They're 2-9 in this spot. They allow 122 points per game on the second night of a back-to-back. Give me the Hawks at home to get started off on the right foot. Let's cash this ticket, y'all.
Wizards at Thunder. Out-of-conference basketball on this Friday. NBA shot clock. A top lean for you guys in this game. Take the Thunder at minus 14.5. And let's discuss. Both teams come into tonight's game on a back-to-back. But Oklahoma City is 4-1 ATS at home on back-to-backs. And Oklahoma City has 4 unique blowout covers on the second night of a back-to-back against Detroit, Portland twice, and the Spurs. And Oklahoma City is 9-2 ATS at home against the Eastern Conference. Who is Washington like? Detroit, Portland, and the Spurs. And this line is suggesting margin tonight. Washington is coming off of a relatively competitive 20-point loss in Denver last night. Now they got to travel to an Oklahoma City team that will not be pumping the brakes in the fourth quarter. Washington is 0-2 ATS on the second leg of a back-to-back on the road at the West. Took a non-cover against Sacramento and Golden State. This line is suggesting Oklahoma City to win the game by minimum 15.5 points tonight. Take it on the favorite, and let's cash this ticket.
Clippers at Grizzlies. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 23rd with another free pick, and we're rocking with the Clippers on the road, minus 8.5. This is a trifecta spot for me, y'all. And if you don't know what that means, I'm taking the Clippers in the first quarter, first half, full game. But right now for NBA shot clock, we're rocking with the full game only, -8.5. The first quarter, first half spread are not out. I'm going to let y'all know, if you guys decide to tell me on the trifecta, be careful with that first half spread because it's going to be minimum 5. It could even be more. The reason it's going to be skewed that high, even though the game total, or the game spread, is only -8.5, is because the Clippers are the third best team in the first half on the road in terms of net rating in the entire league. Now, we're not going to overreact to what we saw last night from the Clippers. They were down by 1 at halftime, came out in the second half, shot 36% from the field. The Thunder went nuts and shot 60%. You ain't winning no game where you shoot 36% in the second half and the other team shoots 60, unless you had a massive lead. And like I mentioned, it was only a 1-point game at that time. We're not going to overreact to one bad half when we have a massive sample size, which is the last 2 months of the Clippers being the best team in the league. I expect them to get back to business. This is a championship or bust team. The Grizzlies right now are just a bust team. Give me the better team at -8.5. Get back on track. And let's go ahead and keep cashing these tickets, y'all.
Heat at Pelicans, 8 o'clock, Smoothie King Center. Top play on the early card, New Orleans -2.5. New Orleans is on a home back-to-back off a blowout against the Rockets last night. Theoretically a fatigue spot, but you really start to see how this team performs in these spots very well. 5-3 ATS, second leg back-to-back, and 2-0 at home. They're also great at home against the Eastern Conference. 6-2 ATS. The only non-covers against Atlanta and Washington, bottom feeder teams with high pace. That is not Miami at all. Miami comes into tonight's game resuming a 6-game road trip that started before the All-Star break with 2 very impressive outright wins in conference at Milwaukee and at Philadelphia. Key point on those games, Jimmy Butler did not play. Jimmy Butler is a historical slow starter, as are the Heat, off of breaks. And I think tonight it's going to be to our advantage that New Orleans has their legs underneath them from last night. This is also a significant motivation spot for New Orleans because the Pelicans have lost 6 straight games to the Heat dating back 3 seasons, including a 26-point blowout in New Orleans last year. The lines last year had Miami graded -3.5 on the road, -6.5 at home, now moving across 9.5 points to New Orleans, showing strength, indicating a double-digit win for the Pelicans tonight. Top play on the early card, New Orleans -2.5. Let's cash this ticket.
Bucks at Wolves. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 23rd with another free pick. Rocking with Minnesota, -3.5. Minnesota is a team on a mission, a team who I've doubted constantly because, again, their offense in the clutch seems kind of wonky to me. But they've proven that defense still matters in this league. They are the one elite defense in the NBA that have guys at several positions that can lock you down. But what's most impressive to me is the way they ended their campaign. Blow out the Clippers, blow out these same Bucks, both on the road. Then they have every reason to take their foot off the gas. Their last 2 games after those blowout wins against elite teams are Portland before they go to the All-Star break. Now, if you listen to Doc Rivers, his team supposedly took the foot off the gas, which is why they got their asses kicked by Miami and then lost to Memphis right before the All-Star break. We were one of the worst teams in the league. What did Minnesota do in that exact same spot? Blew out Portland 2 times. That's 4 blowouts leading into the All-Star break. I don't expect these guys to take their foot off the gas. I think that in terms of this specific matchup, I think Anthony Edwards could do whatever he wants against one of the worst defensive backcourts in the NBA, that being Milwaukee's. On the flip side, Milwaukee's guards are really going to have a hard time against the best defensive backcourt in the NBA, which is what Minnesota has. Give me Minnesota, the better team, by -3.5. I believe the correct number here should be 5. We're getting the better team at a short number, so we'll do what we do and cash this ticket, y'all.
Hornets at Warriors, out of conference basketball. Top play on the late card, Charlotte +14. Both teams come into tonight's game on back-to-backs off huge efforts last night. But situational analysis is real here. The last time the Warriors had a home back-to-back against an elite Western Conference opponent, they did play Detroit on the second night and not cover 113-109. Off a huge one last night against the Lakers, we should expect a tight game. And we look at how Charlotte has performed in this spot. One word: excellent. Charlotte is 6-3 ATS on the second leg of a back-to-back, 4-1 against the Western Conference, and 3-0 against the West on the road. This is where this team catches these Western teams napping. And it seems like a big trade that brought Seth Curry, Grant Williams, and Trey Mann to the Hornets has changed the chemistry and focus of this team immediately. Playing borderline playoff defense night after night. Last year, Charlotte beat Golden State at home in overtime outright and played them to a 5-point margin in the Chase Center. Expect another tight one tonight by Charlotte at +14. And let's cash this ticket.
Spurs at Lakers. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Friday, February 23rd with another free pick. And we're rocking with the over 239 in this Spurs-Lakers game. I don't think there's going to be too much defense played in this contest with both teams having played last night. The Spurs are a terrible defense. Even with their improvements, they're still 24th in the league. The Lakers used to be a top 10 defense once upon a time. That's long gone. Just to give you an idea, in their last 10 games, even though they've been much better offensively, they're 21st in defense during that span. Both teams played last night, like I've already mentioned, with travel, even though, we'll take that with a grain of salt with both teams having played in California and now playing in LA tonight. The travel is not that much of a factor. But I do think that, or I don't think, I know if you go look at both teams and their splits in the second game of back-to-back, their defense is just much worse. 239 is the type of number that's just about right. It's a very sharp number in the sense that you kind of don't know what's going to happen with San Antonio's offense. Their offense can go into the toilet on any given night, but I do think that the momentum that they have right now is pretty real. Last night, they were able to score a lot of points with Wembanyama not playing at his best. I do think you get the best version of Wembanyama under the bright lights of the Lakers' home court. Give me the over 239. Let's cash this ticket, y'all.
Nuggets at Blazers, 10 o'clock, Portland, Oregon. Another official on the late card, NBA Shot Clock on this Friday. We're taking the Blazers +9.5, 1 unit. Denver is in a brutal calendar spot. Home road back-to-back off a cover last night against Washington. A one-off in the Pacific Northwest before huge national games to follow against Golden State, Sacramento, Miami, Lakers, Phoenix, and Boston. The ultimate trap spot. And Denver is 3-9 ATS, last 12 on the road, and 2-7-1 in the second leg of a back-to-back. Portland is a buy low in their first game of the second half with rest advantage here. Portland comes into tonight's game on a 6-game outright losing streak, 0-4 ATS at home in their last 4, and 0-5 straight up against Denver in their last 5. Buy low, all points, and you go back to 2 games played in Denver on February 2nd and February 4th, it seems like Portland's getting closer. Portland took a 12-point lead on Denver on the 4th and eventually gave it back, but did cover the spread, 112-103. The line here is short at -9.5 for Denver, suggesting a game played under 9 points at the final margin. Last game on the card for the week, by Portland at +9.5. It is NBA Shot Clock. The Shark, J.A. Cavalier, and Junior Browne. We appreciate you guys immensely. Have a great weekend. Always bet responsibly, and let's dominate.